7 babies are dead, 7 pregnancies concealed, 7 childbirths in secret, all in a house where 5 people were living. Is that even possible? Someone has to know something, don't they? It just seems that there's more to this story, that there's some huge development that will be uncovered, something that will at least explain how this awful tragedy could even occur.
Throughout the investigation, we were able to determine that she had given birth to the 7 babies, and 6 of them she murdered.
The remains were found inside this home in Pleasant Grove, Utah, a small city just north of Provo. Huntsman moved out of the house in 2011. It belongs to the family of her estranged husband.
Megan's ex-husband back in town after serving some 8 years in prison on a drug-related charge.
They were cleaning out the garage and apparently going to take a lot of it to the junkyard.
Came across a suspicious package, had kind of a pungent odor.
That led to a full-scale search in which police found the remains of 7 dead babies.
A neighbor across the street who was too disturbed to go on camera watched through his surveillance video as police carried the lifeless infants out of the dark home.
I don't know how something like this can even happen, but it did.
Some also found it odd that they didn't notice Huntsman had ever been pregnant.
We always thought she looked skinny. We never saw any evidence of pregnancies.
Really nice. I mean, she made cookies for all the kids.
She was always a good babysitter because she babysat my grandchildren.
Police believe Megan gave birth over a span of 10 years from 96 to 2006 and murdered each one.
Huntsman made her first court appearance.
Ma'am, your response?
That same woman who was making the cookies for her neighbor's kids answered that's fine to her bail amount. $6 million, $1 million for each child prosecutors say she admitted to killing.
And still today, the question is, how did not anyone know? How is that possible? Was it even possible? 5 people at one point living inside that house. They bring in HLN law enforcement analyst Mike Brooks. Mike, let's talk about this woman and the people in her life. But let's begin with her. And you take a look at this photo. This may tell the whole story of what's going on here. But if you look here, the charges, 6 counts of murder is what she's facing here. And they say it's an admission. We take a look here, and she's got 3 daughters that live, right? 20 years old, 18 years old, 13 years old. And then you've got the 7 babies that did not survive. 6 of them, she's charged with murder. 1, they say, was stillborn.
Vinny, in and of itself, 10 children in 12 years. That's unbelievable. So maybe over that course of time, people really didn't notice any difference in her appearance. Because she's always pregnant. Yeah,
that's a good point, Mike. All right, let's get back now to the people in her life. Let's go over now to her estranged ex-husband over here, because he's interesting.
Darren.
Darren West discovered the infant remains April 12th. So he's the one that makes the call as he's cleaning out that garage, right? He'd gotten out of prison, cleaned out the garage. She had moved out 3 years prior. So he's the one that made the call April 12th. Gave police DNA samples on April 13th. And this is the big one here, Mike. I want you and everyone else to think about this. Claims the 7 babies are not his.
But what does he really know? That's my question, Vinny. And think about it. In 2006, he was arrested for meth. And law enforcement came out to the house and supposedly did a search warrant of that house and garage. Did they not find anything then? Did they maybe use drug dogs when they come in? They didn't physically search the garage? Because, Vinny, if you're doing a search warrant and if I'm an investigator, I see boxes, I'm going to be looking inside those boxes.
Yeah, and if it turns out the 7 babies are not his, that may tell us something about this story as well. Also, his rap sheet, rape, forcible sodomy, possession, use of controlled substance. So a lot of issues with Darren West. But he is the one that made the phone call that started the whole investigation.
Yep.
All right, let's get back to the people in her life. The 3 living daughters here. You've got Darian, born in 94, pregnant with her first child. You also have JC, born in 1995, daughter number 2. And then you've got daughter number 3. These are 3 daughters that are living in the house at the time. You know, they're different ages, but, you know, some as old as 12 when all this is happening. Born in 2001, 5 years after mom's alleged first murder. So you can see that these girls are growing up in that house with mom.
Now, does he claim these 3 daughters? I think so.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because one of the girls' name is Darian. He's Darren, so I'm sure that is his child. But what, you know, during this whole time, he didn't know? That's what I still cannot fathom.
Now, we bring us to this man here. Who is he? Who is this guy with the cigarette? Well, this is her current boyfriend, Jimmy Brady, who lived with Huntsman for more than 18 months, began a relationship in 2011, led to Huntsman's eviction. Huntsman miscarried their child earlier this year. Take a listen, though, before we talk about Jimmy Brady, take a listen to what his brother had to say.
Nothing at all. She was like just really nice. Never would have guessed.
All right, Mike, so how important is he going to be to this investigation? Because he's the one who most recently knows her. Not at the time of any of these children being killed, but in the last 18 months living with her.
Yeah, exactly. And what does he know? That's what I want to know. Has she ever talked about the other children besides the 3 children that she has that we know about? Did she ever talk about that? And, you know, in 2011, that's when she left the house, Vinny. She was evicted from the house because apparently the house belongs to the husband's family. So has he ever been over to the house? Could he possibly be, you know, was she messing around with him? Maybe before this? Could he possibly be the father of some of these children?
Yeah, and here's the bottom line. She's got all these people in her life. These folks all here, you're talking about 5 different people here, all inside this house as all this is taking place. Yet it seems no one knew anything at the time. Why? Why did this mother allegedly kill 6 of her babies? Why did she keep the pregnancy secret? Why did she conceal the childbirths? Why did she take the babies' bodies, put them in cardboard boxes, and leave them in the garage? That's a big question here, and that's one of the ultimate questions. You know, first question, why didn't anyone know this was going on? Number 2, why would she do this? A lot of theories floating around in social media. Joining us to talk about all this, of course, Mike Brooks still with us, and Joseph Scott Morgan, who is the Distinguished Professor of Applied Forensics at Jacksonville State University, joining us. Great to see you.
Good to see you.
All right, I'm going to throw some theories at you that people are throwing out there. First one from the Queen of Kings. She was probably a prostitute. Her own husband didn't know she was pregnant.
Well, I don't know that that's necessarily a stretch. We already know that there's connectivity between her ex-husband's involvement with meth. There's a lot of associated prostitution activity that goes on with that. However, what we will be able to determine is if there are multiple fathers of these children, if we're able to get samples for DNA that are not degraded to the point where they're unusable, we can determine that there are multiple fathers in these
So that's
children.
one thing you would look for in the investigation for
But
this
what is
theory.
law enforcement? Does law enforcement know anything about any kind of prostitution that goes on in that particular area? They're a great source of that.
Yeah,
for that. So.
yeah. We haven't heard anything about
No.
that. Now let's take a look at the next theory, which comes from Vivian, which is really talking about revenge. Some kind of abuse going on or forced sex, and she's taking out revenge. But revenge on her husband by killing the babies, but her husband is saying the babies aren't his.
Well, I got to tell you, this cuts both ways. Maybe it is revenge per him if he is causing her to induce birth, for instance, and these children can be killed. Maybe they're unwanted on his part. We don't know. There's too many unanswered questions at this point. But this type of scenario is not unheard of.
Yeah, the one reason I would eliminate him as a suspect in all of this is he gets the whole investigation going. He's the one cleaning out the garage. Why would he start an investigation if he himself is involved?
But, Vinny, we saw the picture of the house yesterday, and what, you see, there's fishing rods and everything else, so you're going to tell me that when he was there, going in and out of there, that he didn't smell something? Because you heard law enforcement say a pungent odor. Yeah, I think there would be a pungent odor of 7 bodies.
Also, this might be a massive misdirection on his part. Try to place the blame on her as opposed
And
to
say,
him.
oh, we're cleaning out the house. What are we going to do with this? Oh, I'm going to call law enforcement.
Absolutely.
Let's take a look at theory 3. What if and this is really talking about gender issues, what if the ones that she killed were boys? Well, we've just determined that one of them is female.
Exactly.
So let's take a look at theory 4 now. This is a family cover-up. Let's hope they're not her daughter's babies. And that, again, is something that the DNA may be able... Would DNA be able to determine if it's her daughter's or
absolutely.
babies?
That DNA would be distinctly tied back to the daughter as opposed to the mother. There's enough of a difference where we could interpret that, yes.
All right, and let's take a look at this last theory, which is the simple theory. Now look at it. She's a criminal who's a murderer. Bingo. Now, could it be that simple? There's something else going on.
It could be, but I still think...
Why spare the other 3 children? That's what I don't understand.
And I still think that the husband knows more than what he's letting on. Because to live in that house with her for all those years, up until 2006, before he went to prison, you're talking 1994 to 2006.
Joseph, you ever seen a case anything like this before?
Yeah, quite similar to this, but only not on this scale. But yeah, absolutely, particularly when there is one parent that does not want a child And I've seen this happen with two children, same couple, but never on this scale. No.
7. Still, the mystery continues.